Chris Worley accidentally stumbled upon skateboarding while looking for an activity for her autistic son to participate in. After noticing a remarkable difference in him as he zoomed around the neighborhood on his board, she decided to share her secret with others. What started as organized events for parents with autistic children soon turned into a grassroots nonprofit organization serving hundreds of families. A Skate Foundation now runs skateboard clinics for autistic kids all over the United States and Europe. Despite the success of the program, Chris is committed to making sure her organization stays true to its roots. She wants the foundation to stay small enough to remain accessible to the families she's touched, because the joy she sees on the faces of the kids on skateboards is her definition of success.
Now we just got to kill the zombie, and so you can go and...
I had a heart condition my whole life, so I've always been sick, or I've never known like a normalcy as far as being raised and living and doing things in school, sports, whatever. So my whole life I've just been off balance. It's just the only way I can settle myself is to do something for others.
You have to buy perks.
It's kind of weird because people look at my life and what I've personally gone through and they're like, wow, how do you even stand right now? Ever since I had kids, my whole reason for living is them, and that's why I think I've been able to fight through these health issues, is because who's going to take care of my kids if I am not here anymore? So I have two boys. Sasha is 11, he's my oldest, and he was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder at age 22 months old. So he's almost 2. And my youngest son, his name is Fallon, he's 9 now. It was hard for Sasha to engage in play, to acknowledge his brother, to play with him, to play a game, to build blocks, to do anything. It was always a struggle for Fallon to just be around Sasha at all, because Sasha had so many issues, just behaviors, sensory, OCDs, and poor Fallon just put up with it all the time. But when they started skateboarding together, it was interaction instead of parallel. Back home in Alabama, I was in the autism community and had been for many years, and through social networking and such, it's just people would be like, what is this you're doing? Sasha's on a skateboard? I didn't know that he could do that, you know? And I'm like, oh yeah, come try it. We're gonna be at the Alabaster Park or whatever. And it was more of a local Birmingham thing. But the more that we were around these kids, the more we saw that they were making progress with eye contact, language, social skills, and just engaging in an activity longer than a couple of minutes at a time. It was for an hour, and that's almost unheard of for a lot of these kids. I just was like, all right, we'll make this small little organization and see what happens.
Chris is amazing. She could have just helped her kids, but she didn't. She helps all of our kids, and I can't thank her enough.
Show me what you got. Show me what you can do.
My son loves, he's my little extreme sports boy. And he loves any sport where he can fly and feel great. So he surfs and he snowboards, and the next logical step was skateboarding. So he's 8 years old and he has autism, and we come here so he can spend a day skateboarding.
I still don't know what I'm doing most of the time with autism. I'm just clueless. I'm learning, I'm reading, I'm doing what I can, But I wanted to give something back to families, especially these moms, because there's some great dads out there too, and us moms take on a lot of responsibility most of the time because we're trying to keep our families together.
Mom, bring them out here and let them run around.
We give these kids one-on-one instruction through our volunteer program, and they're amazing volunteers, and they just keep coming back and working their butts off, and we cannot do this without them.
For people who don't deal with autism on a steady basis, it can be overwhelming because each child reacts to the noise and the crowd differently. So it's a little bit of an adjustment. But once you get dialed in with a child, and it seems like it's reciprocal, and by the end, if you crack a smile out of them, the smallest smile, you think you've accomplished something.
Go, go, go! You can...
A lot of times, the parents are so stressed out, like, oh, he just isn't gonna try this, and the kids feed off of that too. So we try to take them to a quiet place, depending on where we're at, just to chill out, let them decompress. And a lot of times kids need more transition than other kids, and they need to know what to expect. So we try to tell the parents, hey, here's a link to a few videos. Watch it with your child and just see if, they can, this will help let them know what to expect.
Want to try going down it?
I see society, I see, parents of typical children and all the activities that they involve them in, and I think to myself, wow, I would really, I want my son to take part of that. I want him to experience everything. So it gets to be frustrating for me because I harbor feelings of guilt when I take him to something and he doesn't gravitate toward it like I think he would, or doesn't enjoy it, or doesn't even want to do it. Sometimes I get frustrated because it's like I want him to do it, and I feel guilty, and it affects me emotionally, because then I start thinking, oh, you're a bad mother for feeling that way, or, but I just want him to be able to experience different things.
Their bodies crave occupational therapy. They crave the stimulation. They need that vestibular and proprioceptive stimulation. And once their body realizes that they can get that from skateboarding, usually the sensory issues from the noise and helmets or pads or whatever isn't irrelevant at that point.
He has learned confidence. I can do this if I try. He is a sports-oriented kid, as we've learned over the years, but this is something that you could, be afraid to do. He's been working with Peter from Faith Skate, that's one of the volunteers and one of the instrumental people in this organization with Chris. And every year he comes back, he remembers him, and Chris goes right over to him. My son Chris goes right over to Peter, and they have a great bond with skateboarding now. So cool.
I did good. I did good going around the pool right there. I work with Peter.
My goal with A-Skate is not to blow up and be this huge franchised organization and chapters everywhere and lots of staff, because I don't want staff. I'm not even staffed. I volunteer my time as well as everybody else who is here and helps the kids or whatever. I want A-Skate to be a volunteer organization where 100% of what we do goes back to events and helping these kids and paying for some of these kids' skate lessons who need grant tuitions, and giving kids skateboard equipment, safety equipment, and that's what we do.
Skating is helping them, interact with other people. They get to be on this thing that flies them everywhere, and they love it.
I also want to say I did good, and I practiced a lot, and then I don't need any help. I did really nice.
That's it for this week. Join the conversation with us on social media. We are CCTV America on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. All of tonight's interviews can be found online at cctv-america.com. And let us know what you'd like us to take Full Frame next. Email us at fullframe@cctv-america.com. Until then, I'm Mike Walter in Los Angeles. We'll see you next time.